Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. On Wednesday, July 21st, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy issued a strong statement. Unless Speaker Pelosi reverses course and seats all 5 Republican nominees, Republicans will not be party to their sham process and will instead pursue our own investigation of the facts. McCarthy then followed with another statement. House Democrats must answer this question: why are you allowing a lame duck speaker to destroy this institution? McCarthy has been seen as a relatively weak Republican leader, but Wednesday's statement was impressive. Why has McCarthy suddenly become so courageous and clever? Back in February, Pelosi claimed that Congress would establish an independent 9/11 Commission-style panel to investigate the Capitol events on January 6. On May 20th, Pelosi set up a bipartisan independent commission of inquiry. However, after being passed in the House, it was blocked by Republicans in the Senate. On June 29th, Pelosi introduced another bill to bypass the Senate and create a House Select Committee in her control to investigate the January 6 incident. The bill was quickly voted on in the House, with votes largely divided by the two parties. The bill also includes a provision that Pelosi would have veto power over the appointment of committee members. The committee consists of 13 members, 8 of whom are appointed by Pelosi herself, including 7 Democrats and 1 anti-Trump Republican, Liz Cheney. The other 5 are to be nominated by House Minority Leader McCarthy. On July 19th, McCarthy named 5 Republicans, including Indiana Congressman Jim Banks and Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Both are Trump supporters. After seeing McCarthy's nomination, Pelosi hesitated for 2 days. And on July 21st, Pelosi finally rejected Banks and Jordan. Later, McCarthy issued a strongly worded statement criticizing Pelosi's unprecedented move as an abuse of power. McCarthy also said that if Pelosi doesn't accept all 5 Republican nominees, the Republicans will open their own investigation into the facts. Previously, Jordan had made it clear that if he went to the Special Investigative Committee, he would question Pelosi about the lack of security measures that day. Obviously, this is something that Pelosi does not want to face. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise also said that Pelosi knew that Congress was at risk of being attacked on January 6, but rejected Trump's offer of having a higher National Guard presence. Why? This time, McCarthy's performance has changed from weak to tough, from mediocre to intelligent. What did he have such a big change? It may have something to do with former President Trump. On July 15th, McCarthy made a special trip to New Jersey to meet Trump. It is likely that he has received guidance from Trump on the issue of the special committee nomination. The CNN saying that McCarthy met Trump before the nomination and that his pick for the committee would likely be supporters and defenders of Trump. Pelosi can continue to run the Special Investigation Committee, but without the participation of McCarthy and the Republicans, the credibility of their investigation will be questioned. Next, let's discuss the flood in Henan, China. A popular Chinese saying that describes the CCP is capable of doing any evil things, even beyond one's wildest imagination. The recent flood in Henan province proves this. From July 18th to the 20th, the media of the CCP only reported on the floods in Europe. The public did not see any local reports of the heavy rainfall in Henan province. As a result, the majority of people in Zhengzhou, the capital and the largest city of Henan province, were unprepared for the impending disaster. The party officials were so scared of the spread of the truth that they completely shut down the internet by the evening. The mouthpieces of the CCP, led by Hu Xijin, were celebrating over how the amount of rainfall in Zhengzhou was greater than that of Germany, and yet there were less deaths in Zhengzhou compared to Germany. This type of mentality is quite odd. In fact, the death toll in Zhengzhou is questioned by many local people. Is having less deaths than Germany really a reason to celebrate? In my last episode, I described the tragic loss of life in the subways of Zhengzhou. I didn't discuss the incident at Jingguang Tunnel, which was a larger disaster that was caused by the authorities' wrongdoings. Jingguang Tunnel is a major tunnel that runs the entirety of Zhengzhou city from north to south. It is located almost in the center of the city. There are 6 lanes in the tunnel with a total length of 4.2 kilometers. At around 5 p.m. on July 20th, water burst into the tunnel, quickly filling it up. At the time, the cars in the tunnel were in a traffic jam. The tunnel was completely flooded in 5 minutes. This was told by several survivors when they were interviewed by the media. Videos taken near the entrance of the tunnel after the incident shows a large number of vehicles being washed sideways and stacked on top of each other. The tragic scene looked like a car cemetery. Because the officials have sealed off the area, the general public cannot see the inside of the tunnel. At the highest level, the flood water submerged the entire tunnel. The tunnel is more than 4 kilometers long. Car owners close to the tunnel entrance might have a chance to escape, but people inside the tunnel had a slim chance of escape. So this brings a great concern. How many cars and people inside the tunnel were buried under water? Some people made a rough calculation. The tunnel is 4.2 kilometers long and has 6 lanes. There was a traffic jam when the flood came, so assuming each car took up a space of 5 meters, based on the total length, there would be up to 4,800 cars buried there. Even with an assumption of 8 meters per car, there were still at least 3,000 cars. Considering that many cars had more than one occupant, the death toll is likely to be over 10,000. The official media in China, such as Pengpai News, used the headline, "Over 1,000 cars submerged," when they first reported the incident. Such a number of casualties is probably unprecedented in the history of tunnel flooding. Of course, the officials have sealed off the area and the public cannot get near, so no one knows the real situation. We all know that when a rainstorm is approaching, traffic control should be implemented in lower areas to ensure safety. But on the afternoon of the 20th, the Jingguang Tunnel was completely open with no closures. A number of survivors' accounts all mentioned a key point. Around 5 p.m., there was a particularly violent and fast flood. It submerged cars and people in just a few minutes. This is related to dam reservoir releases. Based on official reports, there were at least 5 dam reservoir releases happening around Zhengzhou on the 20th. According to an official from the Henan Department of Water Resources, interviewed by the mainland media, there have been at least 47 dams of various sizes releasing their reservoirs in Henan province since the 20th. Therefore, the direct cause of the major flooding of Subway Line 5 and the Jingguang Tunnel is closely related to the unannounced reservoir release. Why did the subway system and tunnel still operate despite the heavy flood? From what we have seen, the most probable cause is Xu Liyi, the secretary of the Zhengzhou Municipal Party Committee. On July 19th, Xu Liyi personally inspected the flood prevention work. Furthermore, he asked all levels of government to make flood control a top priority. He also said to ensure major water conservancy projects don't have any mishaps, and important traffic should not be interrupted. These are his rules. Zhengzhou is actually responding to the heavy rainfall in accordance with these rules. To ensure none of the water conservancy projects had any mishaps, they had to release the water, which led to flooding. The reservoirs released too much water, and it was the reason numerous people were injured or killed by the unexpected flood. Then, why was there no flood warning? The CCP's logic was that if the government notified the people beforehand, the people got the right to get compensation from the government. So to avoid paying for all the damaged properties, the flood were released without warning. The people who died or lost their homes due to the flood thought it was a natural disaster, so they will not ask the government for compensation. The government will then give out instant noodles and water, which leads the people to appreciate the government's help. This is how the CCP is manipulating and brainwashing the people. The rules from Xu clearly stated that important transportation routes must not be interrupted. This is the reason why the subway operator, knowing that the flood was overwhelming, continued to drive the train forward, bringing all passengers to their tragic destination. Similarly, the 4-kilometer-long tunnel entrance was open, without even a warning sign, and continued to allow traffic to go through, causing thousands of cars to be submerged by the flood. This is a characteristic of the Chinese communist system. The power is only in the hands of a few people. Those who are below them can only follow the orders. There have been anonymous posts on the internet from the subway workers saying that they all knew how severe the situation was, but no one dared to stop the subway because they didn't want to take the responsibility or offend the senior leaders. Everyone had the same mentality. This is very similar to opening the floodgates in every reservoir. Everyone wanted to keep their own reservoir safe during the heavy rain, thinking that releasing some water is not a big problem. But the result is that the water accumulated from every floodgate, and it resulted in a man-made flood, sweeping the entire city of Zhengzhou. This is the result of the stupidity and the ignorance of the authorities, and also the nature of the corrupted system of CCP, where death does not matter as long as I keep my power. This is the fundamental reason why we see similar catastrophes continue to be staged all over China, over and over again. The last thing we saw is that when Henan was in complete disaster, Xi Jinping did not bother to visit to show mercy to people, but instead went to Tibet. I think he was trying to keep a low profile on the disaster in Henan because he was trying to build up a positive image for the CCP and the international community. After the floods in Europe and especially in Germany, the CCP has been manipulating the public opinion with full force, using Germany as a typical example to mock the failures and the inefficiency of the democratic system. At the same time, the CCP blames Mother Nature for the Zhengzhou floods and manipulate the death toll to be less than that of Germany, and then the Communist Party continued to boast of the institutional advantages of communism. If the Chinese Communist Party can be so cold-blooded to its own people, how will it be to the rest of the world? That's all for today. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you next time.